Hello everyone. As promised, the picanha cook. I'm not going to put it on the skewers this time because I know most people don't have a sufficient skewer for making it look like the restaurant serving style that you get at a typical Brazilian steakhouse, gaucho style. However, I am going to show it's easier to cut if you just cook it the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to be grilling it. So the most important thing about picanha, you got to say it right. The most important thing about picanha is how you cut it. All right, because you're going to cut it one way to grill it, and then you're going to cut it the other way when you serve it. And I'll be showing you both, and the grilling process as well. So this is going to be 3 little phases in this video. All right. So first of all, you have your picanha cut. Some people like to trim off fat and say, "Oh, this little part over here isn't part of it," and I'll trim this little piece off. I do the carnivore diet. I'm not going to cut any fat off of it. My diet is supposed to be kind of nose to tail as far as eat everything. I'm very bad at that. I don't eat a lot of things that I should, but the carnivore diet has allowed me to drop a ton of weight. Not that I had a ton, but I've dropped 25 pounds since a year ago, and that was mostly in the first 2 months, 15 the first month, 20 the next, and then recently I have not been cheating on weekends. I've just been kind of rolling solo these days, so I'm not cooking other food for company, so I've lost another 5 pounds, and it shows, and I'm happy with it. It's great because the weather's getting nicer. So just a thought: if you're thinking about losing weight and you're too lazy to work out, you'll get right down there. The fat will go, and so will any joint pain too. So anyway, here we go. Here's a cut of picanha, and as you can see, it's got a lot of fat on it, right? But what we're going to look for how we're going to cut these steaks, right, is the grain. The grain of the meat is the most important thing. And I've noticed, now, it's not always, because they can come in slightly different shapes. They're usually triangular, always triangular, if it's cut properly. From the cow, if it's harvested properly. So there is the grain of the meat, and on this one, it's running along this line here. All right. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to cut along with the grain. Now I already know that it's easier for me to cut fat side up. You'll probably find it easier as well. Some people cut a little piece, throw it off to the side. Nah, I just throw it all on the grill at the same time. So one thing you need is a really sharp knife. And I mean, this is more like a hunting knife. Great for camping and stuff. Got it at the old something freight, for about $20. And it is awesome. It holds an edge like you couldn't believe. Some people use the much larger knives. Great if you have one. I don't. I probably will get one, but this knife in and of itself is awesome. So again, make sure you're cutting with the grain. And again, the grain's going down this way. So my first cut, actually, I almost I swapped that around. Yeah, there we go. Yep. Okay. So the grain's running this way. So my first cut is going to be down this side. All right. So here I go, and I'm going to try to level these off. So the first one I'm going to cut a little bit thin. Don't cut your fingers off, because that hurts. All right. So what you're going to need is, well, first of all, your picanha, a really sharp knife, good butcher block, and some coarse salt. All right. Yeah, I mean, you can use kosher salt, and you can use more of a rock salt type, but I'm just using a standard coarse salt, the type you'd see in a grinder, in a table grinder. But I put a little bit of white pepper in with mine. It just gives a little bit better flavor. Kind of shook it up and stuff. So anyway, there we go. First cut. Now I'm just going to follow that along. I'm going to cut these at least an inch thick. All right. I'm going to try and cut them even. I used to be a meat cutter at one time, but that was so long ago that I've lost some of the skills. Now, as you can see how much fat is on there? That's a good amount of fat, but a lot of that's going to cook off. It's going to render while you're grilling it. But this is part of what makes picanha so awesome, is the amount of fat that's in it and the amount of fat that just keeps dripping on it and goes with it while you're eating. And not only that, the way you cut it, right? You're going to see what I mean. It's very easy to eat. I've never seen anybody go, oh, I don't like that fat, you know? It's just part of the whole story there. I know you're probably saying, oh, dude, you could cut better than that. Well, maybe this knife is getting a little dull. I normally do this in one sweep. There is quite a bit of fat I'm cutting through. Oh, the knife's still sharp. And this is the same way I cut it when I put it on the skewers from my little short of my upcoming cook. So I should call it a grill instead of a cook, but I just want to keep it simple for anybody. So this is basically what we do here. So now that we have the meat all cut up, don't worry if it's a little uneven. That's fine, because you're going to control that on the grill. A little bit of a hand wash there, which is good, you know. I just don't want to get all the juicy stuff all over my salt. So I'm using a coarse ground salt, any brand will do. Salt to salt. And you see how big that is? And you don't want to be afraid of getting too much on there. It's not going to hurt anything, all right? It's part of the technique of making this just the most awesome, delicious steak that you'll ever have. Most people put this above ribeye, and I love them both, and I know I totally can understand why they do. And I would say that at times, you know, I have more of a craving for this than I do ribeye. I eat a lot of ribeye, and again, don't worry about the salt. You know, you're gonna how much you put on there. It's gonna salt plays the part. You don't have to rush this because the salt sits in it a little bit. You know, kind of soaks in and gets that flavor in there. Try to keep it on the board as much as possible. Minimizes my cleanup afterward. I normally don't wear shoes in the house, but I'm wearing cowboy boots today because you have to when you're cooking picanha, and normally I would do all this prep outside anyway. It's a little crappy out. You just had nor'easter. Get all that salt all over there. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Get some salt on there. Alrighty. Alright. A lot of salt on that fat. Get that right on there. Yum, yum. And you're thinking, well, it's going to give me a heart attack. Actually, it won't. It's probably better for your heart than anything you'll eat out of a can or out of a bag or off a plant. So anywho, here we go. Now the meat is prepped. It's going to sit for a little bit, and just letting that salt get in there. And and then we're going to throw it on the grill. So I'm going to have to walk around there and hit my pause button because I'm not really that set up well, but at least my volume's working now. And I don't have a camera guy with me to help in the background. Liam Wolf was helping out. I'm hiring a camera girl. So give me one moment here. We'll take care of that. And here we are out at the piping hot grill. You're going to make sure this thing is very hot. I've got all the gas on high. I am cooking on gas. You can do this on charcoal. Some people say you have to do it on charcoal. I prefer to do picanha on gas because I can control it a little bit better. If I have to take it off, if it's getting a little uneven, then what I do is I turn the burner off and I use that as a rest area. So, basically, let's get these suckers right on. I was hoping that was going to make it more of a sizzle than that. It is cold out though and a little breezy, so. Now chances are this is going to flame up pretty good, and that's okay. At some point it will. If you're using really heavy rock salt and you're cooking on a charcoal grill, which will actually get a bit hotter than this, just wish I didn't have the side breeze coming across, it will, that rock salt will pop. It'll drop on, some of it will drop onto the coals and it'll pop and it can come up in your eye. So you want to be careful about that. And they're harder than hell. So just be careful while you're cooking this stuff. Don't worry about how many times you have to flip it. That's fine. It's another reason we have so much salt on there too, is some of it's going to cook off. But main thing is we want that salt in the meat as much as possible, going right through. The longer it sits, the better. I'm kind of doing this a little quicker than I normally would, but that's okay. Now, do I close it? Nah, I'm gonna leave it open. Even with the breeze, it's the slower you cook it, the better. And don't be afraid to flip it several times. But when you do flip it, try not to drag it across the grill because a lot of that salt will then come off. You'd rather it cook off and cook off evenly instead of wiping it all off. Because as it's cooking, it's still going to soak into the meat because the meat's going to open up a little bit. Now you see how the grain is, you can really clearly see the grain on this meat. And we want it going that direction because when we serve it, I'll show you how that all works out in our great favor, you know. Now I'll let this sit a little bit. I know this is going to be kind of a lengthy video. It's not a short, but this doesn't take too long. And if it's a hotter day out, right now it's still, you know, early April, and it's a little breezy, and we just had a nor'easter, so the snow's still on the ground a little bit from that, and it makes it really, you know, kind of cooler than preferable. Now, once it starts melting the fat, that fat's going to ignite and start lighting on fire, and that's fine. I'm going to have a little fireball in this grill, and that's fine because that's going to pretty much sear the crap out of this, and it's going to make it just awesome. I'm moving the meat towards the back of my grill because it's a little bit more out of the wind. And this is a fairly easy one to cook too. It's just a lot of people don't know about it or even where to get it. And you can get it at a Brazilian meat store. There are companies that package it up, and you see it in a butcher should know what the cut is. In fact, I wish I should have done a little bit more research or remembered what the name of the cut is and where it comes off the cow. But most butchers are familiar with this cut. It's become very popular lately. So. Yeah, that fat's starting to drip, so I'm going to be getting some flames pretty soon here, which will be muy bueno. Here I am with my Spanglish. Though it should be Portuguese. That's what they speak in Brazil. Again, when you flip the meat, you want to raise it, flip it, set it down, not drag it and flip it. Ooh, that sounded good. Oh yeah. I think game is on. When they're on the skewers, it's easier to control this. However, when you cut it at the end, it's easier to cut if you cook it like this. Because when you put it on the skewer, you're basically rolling it, and then you won't get. It's harder to cut the way that I'm going to show you how it is to be cut. If you cut it any other way, you're fired. I'm just kidding. You don't work for me anyway. Whoa, did you hear that? That was one of those rock salts there popping. Oop, there goes another one. I'm going to bring that piece a little further away from the direct heat. But you see that golden brown color? Yeah, it's all going to turn, well, deliciously brown on the outside. And that's fine. That's what we want. Nice and juicy fat, because as you cut it, you're only going to be eating a piece of that fat and a small piece at any point in time. It's all in the technique of the cut. And here we have the flames. So I'm going to do a little bit of transferring around, share the wealth with this with these flames coming up from the fat cook-off. I'm standing them on the edge like that, just kind of stacking them so that fat can get its can get cooked off a bit. And I'll also stand them on the other side and sear them. But I might not even need to if the flames come up high enough and it really starts flaming off. It'll cut the side of the meat that doesn't have the fat on it. Oh yeah, that's what we want right there. It's a starting. It's not magic, it's easy, you just have to tend to it. Can't put these on and walk away from them. It's just too much fat on them. And if you're working the grill, you have to work the grill. That's your only objective for that time. I don't care what you're cooking. Well, that's not true. If you're doing chicken or something and you have it covered, oop, there goes another piece of rock salt. Oh yeah, look at that color starting to come about there. I don't know if the camera's picking up the flame. Let me see. I hope I didn't just shoot this entire thing off film here. Off center. But look at that color. That's what you want. Whoops. Oh, those flames are good. That's good, because the hotter it gets, you know, that flame directly on there, it's just going to do a great searing job and give us the finished product that we want. And there goes that crazy salt popping. Oh yeah, here we go. It's the real deal here now. And there's people who go, oh man, I do mine a million times better than that. And they probably do, but we're just trying to get things happy. At this point, I can turn my heat all the way down to low. I could probably turn it off, but I can turn it all the way down to low because this is what you call a grease fire. And I'm kind of relying on that. Whoop, get easy. He's done. I'm hoping my camera doesn't melt here. Move these over to drag that flame further away from the camera. How you doing? So you see the constant flipping? This is what you want to do. Especially with that, got some heat right there. And that fat is rendering off as we're doing this as well. Now the way they cook this in a restaurant on those skewers is rotisserie style. It keeps spinning around, so that's why I keep flipping, so as not to totally burn out any one piece, one side. Now, I eat my steak medium rare at the most. I will serve it if medium if somebody wants it. Rare is fine with me, and I will serve it rare. This is probably going to be medium rare right here. That's the way I'm cooking this. And there we go. And I think that's grill time there. You know, maybe not. Do a little bit more, just so you. Wow, that wind's picking up. This little Okay, he's done. Alrighty. And that's the grill. So, I'm going to move these suckers inside. I'm going to give that pan a little wipe down. I'm going to move these suckers inside, and we'll pick it up from there. Thank you. Alrighty, back in the kitchen. Now we're going to take these lovely picanha and start cutting them up. All right. So, being as that it's plenty freaking hot. Well, let's see. I'm going to use the hands anyway. It's just me eating. So here's the fat side. This is the way the grain runs. And this is the magic that happens, all right? So I'm going to thin slice this off, right? You don't serve this in thick slices. You just thin cut that down and, you know, basically serve it as the party's going. Slice one up, send it on a tray around, and there you go, you know? So, oh, I could have got that a little bit better, but that was my uneven cutting that caused that. My uneven thickness. So basically, there you go. There's your picanha. It is so tender. You're cutting across the grain when you serve it. All right. Now, if I wrap this up in a ball, you know, in a loop, tight, and put it on the skewer like you saw on the preview, that would mean I'd have to cut all in this funky fashion here, and that would be a pain in the butt. This tastes so damn good. You see what I mean? You're only having a little bit of fat at any point in time. I'll get my ugly mug down here, but anyway, this is so good, you know, and you really can't beat it. Alrighty, I'm gonna call that a wrap. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped you. You can find picanha at a super Walmart sometimes, USDA Choice Angus. So, you know, in the cryovac for a decent price. But you're going to be paying around, oh, it's not a cheap meat, but it's not super expensive. Today's market price, 2024, April, you're probably going to be paying around $9. Might find it a little bit cheaper, but probably as high as, you know, $12 or $13 a pound. But look around. It's just as simple as that. Just salt. I threw a little white pepper in mine, but you don't have to. You could throw a little bit of garlic powder in your salt, mix it up if you wanted to. I wouldn't suggest that. It's so flavorful as it is that, oh damn, it's incredible. Thank you again for watching. I'm going to redo my flatbread video now that I have a proper microphone, a better one, and you'll see that probably tomorrow. All right? Have a great day, everyone. God bless.